One of the first things to point out when doing the clock, they're identical machines, but they are synced to the specific rink that they go with. So if you're in the West rink, make sure that your clock box says West rink on it. If you're on the RCC, make sure it says RCC. If you take an RCC one in the West rink, it will change the score block or the clock in the RCC, not the West rink. So be very, very clear that you have the right clock. Okay, this is a video to teach everyone how to run the clock. The good news is the West Rink and the RCC now have the exact same clock unit, so once you learn one, you can do either one with these. If you notice on the case, it said West Rink. Also on the machine itself, it says West Rink. So when you take it out of the box, it looks like this. It needs to be plugged in. Okay, so there's a data cable that hooks in here, and then there's a power cable that hooks here on the far side. Once that's plugged in, it will come on like this, and it'll give you a prompt here. Just simply hit enter to continue, and if you want a new game, which you always will, hit clear right here, and that gets you to a new game. So once you turn the unit on and you go to a new game, the display will look like this. Anything that you enter or change on this display is going to show up on the main scoreboard itself. If you see nothing on the main scoreboard itself, that's because they haven't turned the breaker on at the electrical box. So you'll have to get a rink attendant to go turn that on so you'll be able to run the clock. Going through the clock itself real quick, it's super important that you familiarize yourself with where the buttons are and what you'll need to do. So the first thing you'll need to do is to set the game time, because there's generally a warm-up time. Over here in the red, there's a game time button. If you press that, you can see it lights up right here. If it's a 5 minute, enter, enter, enter. You can now see it says 5 minutes there for the time, and it'll say 5 minutes up on the main board. There are two ways to run the time on these clocks. There's a manual way to do it. Over here you've got the green for go or run and the red for stop. So you could start the time, and as you can see up here, the time's winding down, and you can stop it manually if you have to, but nobody does. There's actually a box here that has on and off, so you can run the time. If there's a whistle, you stop the time. There's also one other button on this, and I'll tell you, this could be your best friend. It's this square button right here, and that's the manual horn. The game can go pretty fast at times, and there's also a horn button on the clock itself. I'm having a hard time seeing it, but right here. The game goes pretty fast. If a ref comes up and he says, I've got a double minor, number 5 for a hook and a slash, and he skates off and you have no idea what to do, hit that and bring him over. If you have players in the penalty box that are swearing at each other or causing problems, beep it and have the refs come over. So don't ever hesitate to hit that. And there's no reason to panic. Just hit it, have them come over, collect yourself, and you'll be ready to go. So once the warm-up period is done, you're going to have to enter the time of the game. So hit your game time. These are 15-minute games. Enter. As simple as that. Notice you hit enter after every time, after the minutes, after the seconds, and after the tenths of seconds. From this point on, as the periods progress, it will automatically kick back to that 15-minute, and it will advance the period as well from period 1 to period 2. So let's go into a few other things. The home is blue, guest is yellow, and kind of familiarize yourself with the score and the shot. So if there's a shot on goal and home has the shot, down here it's home shots. So as you hit this, it will show up on the shots on goal, and it'll show up on the main board as well. So, and we explained what a shot was. So say I'm running the clock and I'm like, oh, great shot. And the person running the books says, no way, that was 3 feet over the net. That doesn't count. You can go back in and manually change the shots by hitting home shot and correcting it to 4 shots and then hitting enter. That enter button's used a lot. Every time you change something or want to do something, you'll be hitting that enter button. So, guest shot. Oh, look, home shot, and they got a goal. So there's 2 ways to do it. One, you can do it manually by hitting home score, or you just hit the +1. So now as you can see up here, there's 1 goal for home to 0 for guests. And again, if there was an error, the referee comes and waves it off, you can manually change the score back to 0. Now we'll get into the hard part, the penalty part. The ref comes over and says, white, number 5, tripping, and they'll skate off. So you have to be pretty quick on it. So home penalty, if you notice, it's lit up over here, waiting for you to put in a number. They said number 5, enter. This is a Pee-wee game, so 2-minute penalties, enter, enter. And now it should be up on the board. It's entered here, it's entered up there. As you run the clock, you can see the penalty is active. So let's say to clear a penalty, there was a goal scored, so the player comes out of the box. To clear a penalty, simply hit home penalty again until it gets to the penalty in question. Hit clear, and there you have it. It's gone. So again, if there's a penalty, home penalty, number 7, enter, 2 minutes, so enter for the minutes, enter for the seconds, and it's up. Let's put another one in there. So her teammate, also, number 14, got a penalty, enter, 2 minutes, enter, enter. Run the clock for a while. There's a power play goal. The first person comes out of the box. So you go home penalty until you get to number 7 and then clear it. So you're left just with the person that's in the box. That's the hardest thing to do. But once you play with this a little bit, it gets quite easy. During a runtime scenario, so as you can see the time is running, and we score a goal, and I want to get number 14 out of the penalty box. If you'll notice, it won't let you do anything. That's because the time's running. So even if it is runtime and everybody's saying, run the clock, you have to stop the clock in order to clear a penalty or to do other things. So if you're having a difficulty, just stop the clock and take care of business then. So I've got 1 second up on the clock here just to make this easy. So it'll automatically stop. So the time ran out. I went and hit game time to start the next period. If you notice on here, it automatically advanced to 15 minutes and to the second period. And then you just simply hit enter and it goes up onto the board. I just wanted to point that out. I will point out another thing, and we had to edit the tape there because the buzzer went off and I did not turn the clock off on this, so it would not allow me to advance to the other period. I had to actually shut that off. So everybody forgets from time to time, but just make sure that you shut the clock off when you advance it to a period. If there's a mistake made and somehow you're really in the first period and it's showing up as the second period, you simply go in here under the green, hit period, the number 1, and then enter, and that'll change the period. So it's very simple. Just familiarize yourself with it. The big things to remember are game time, period, the home score, the home shot, and then how to adjust that if you need to change something, the penalties as well. And it's the same on the other side, it's just a different color. In the case containing the clock itself, there's also this laminated cheat sheet, if you will, that you can pull out and have sitting by in case you need it. It does come in handy from time to time, so obviously use it. But the key is familiarize yourself with the clock itself, know where the buttons are before the game starts, and you'll feel a lot more comfortable. And the good thing about this is you learn this once. You can use it on either rink here, and even like at the North Star facility and other rinks if you have to run a clock. They're all very similar, a little bit different, but if you can get this down, you'll be able to run a clock pretty much